Costa, my dear friend, this is our second attempt. Not because you've been on the show twice, just purely because we had some technical difficulties.
Nice to
Just
see you. Good to be here.
Lekker, man.
That was a dry run.
Yeah, there was a dry run. We did a quick sample,
Yes.
a pilot.
Yes.
Everybody loved it. Now we can do the full show.
Sure.
Lekker, nice to have you here. We had a lekker breakfast. Always nice to see you. Always good energy. Like I said, I don't want to butcher your intro by any means. So maybe just start with a quick background. And like you also have multiple hats that you wear. So pick one and maybe share that background of yourself with the audience.
Cool. Thank you. Good to be here. I love your podcast. So yeah, what makes me tick? Well, today I'm here to discuss what I think about and how I operate in the world of marketing. I studied marketing at varsity, and then very luckily got a job in brand management at Unilever, which is like the gold standard in brand management, and it was a great job. But I'm not a corporate guy. I was very stifled, and after a couple of years, I left and I went into advertising. And then at age 25, I started my own businesses, and I've been running my own businesses ever since. All entrepreneurial endeavors, from clothing companies to food companies, restaurants, etc. And what's always been consistent is my interest in marketing. I then helped start up and then started my own branding agency for a couple of years. That was a lot of fun. And ever since then, I have done marketing and brand strategy consulting for a variety of clients, anybody who'll listen to me, because it feeds my creative side. Marketing and branding is a very creative part of business. A lot of problem solving and problem solving with pictures and words and ideas. And that's where I really thrive. Sometimes I've excelled at it, other times less so. But yeah, marketing, branding, ideas, ideating, problem solving through changes in what the product is, in what a brand is. That's me.
You know what I've realized, and it's like marketing, the word is so broad these days. It's like saying that, you know, you're going to the doctor. Well, what kind of doctor? Is it a normal GP? Is it a surgeon? It could be anything, you know. I think it is, if it's a surgeon, is it an orthopedic surgeon? Is it a neurosurgeon? Is it a spine surgeon? It's like, I feel marketing is in that same boat today, because when you see people say marketing, it could almost mean anything.
You know, I break down things because I'm much older than most people. I break things down into like bare basics. Literally, if you have a till, okay, because I'm old school. If you have a till, you're in marketing. If you accept,
I like that.
If you accept money for anything, you're in marketing.
Yeah.
And
That's so true, though.
you know, and we're all in marketing. If you're dating, you're in marketing.
And I think that's something I've subconsciously adapted to early on, is that when I was playing rugby, I was 16 years old, and I knew the Craven League scouts were going to be there. So I was like, how do I stand out? So I painted my scrum cap red.
Wow.
But subconsciously, I knew I had to stand out. But the other side of my brain was like, but what if you miss a tackle? What if you knock the ball? They're also going to see you. And I was just happy to take that risk. And it's just something that has been built into me, going like, how do you stand out? Because you're always competing. Even if there's a girl that you like, you know, there's other people who's also interested in her, who's probably just as good and as funny and as good looking. And I always, you know, wanted to be a little bit different. And, you know, you'd make that first impression, you'd like overthink how you're going to do it, so you're not the same as everybody else. And it's quite funny. But that is marketing. Marketing is life. And I think we market ourselves to our partners, to our spouses, to our clients, to literally every single person that you actually come in a relationship with of some sorts.
100%.
And on that topic, I think let's talk a little bit about the element of marketing, which is branding, because that's really your specialty. You know, you use the word genius, you know, many times. But we don't have to go down that road. But it's understanding that you've had quite some success from a branding standpoint in helping certain businesses. There's two companies that you've mentioned that I was like, holy shit, I didn't actually know that about you, because I think we've known each other for roughly about a year and a half now,
Yeah.
and maybe even longer. And when you mentioned it literally this morning, I was like, well, not only are you smart and clever, but you're also very humble, because it's not something you led with. So, with that said, maybe let's unpack those two stories that you told me that I thoroughly enjoyed.
So yeah, we're talking branding. I was part of a branding agency that I helped start and grow from a business development perspective, but also from a creative perspective. This brand agency had a client come and see them and say, well, he's an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, started a new business, found a category in beauty salons that needed some disruption, and wanted to come up with a new name for a salon brand. It was for a salon for the girl on the go, the lady on the trot, somebody who wanted their nails done while they had a facial, something convenient, quick, elegant. Still all the touch points of a skin brand, but something slightly more fun and disruptive. So what we do, and what I really love doing, is name generation. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I'm also a writer. So I thought, let's just sit down. What you do in name generation is you get different people from different disciplines together, because we all work in words, we communicate in words, and I'm the idea, the ideator, the spark, and I just throw some ideas out there, and you go down different roads. Okay, let's go down a French road. Let's go down a skin road. And all the names are sounding the same: Skin Sense, Boutique, Chic. They were all sounding like these really, really basic names. And we wanted to shake things up. What does a brand like this do? Okay, well, it does things quickly. It does things elegantly. Okay, well, what else is quick in the world? So we came up with cars are quick. This is fast. Molecules are fast. All these things. And then we were like, no, hang on a second. It's not working. I said, okay, well, what happens quickly? Ice cream melts. I came up with ice cream melts quickly. Ice cream, creamy. No, that's too face creamy. And then I went, sorbet. And we're like, oh, there's an option. And because it was my name, it was the option I liked the most. So we presented the founder of Sorbet, I think 6 names, and they selected Sorbet. Sorbet was a name that was available in the trademark sphere, on the .com sphere, and it was something that sounded French.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's still French though.
Still French, but Sorbet,
there's something unique to it.
It's playful.
Yeah.
The light colors of Sorbet colors are known to be more feminine, and we created the brand name and designed the logo. And Ian Furr, the owner of Sorbet, actually mentioned it in his book that he wrote about the founding of the business, and he mentioned my name, which is my big claim to fame. And Sorbet was the one brand that I really, really enjoyed working on. And the other one was a friend of mine, Anton. We were riding bikes, triathlon training camp, exhausted, and we, hours in the saddle. And you end up talking quite a lot. And he told me about his father's macadamia nut farm, and he was starting some macadamia nut butters, and he was looking for a brand name. So, of course, you feed that into the subconscious on day one, and you just let it ruminate. And then the next day I was like, what about Butternut? Butta, capital Nutt. So 2 T's in the butter and the nut, and one word, but 2 capitals, capital B, capital N. So Butternut. And instantly, he loved it. It's a food brand. It's unique. It says exactly what it does, even though it's not butternut that we eat. It's different from butternut, but making the connection between the brand name and the product category so quick and easy. And yeah, 13 years ago, he launched the brand.
You know what I admire about your skill set, and it's something that I probably don't have to the level and to the degree that you have. It's the wordsmith side of it. You use the wordsmith, which I think it's such an underrated skill. And obviously ChatGPT came along, but it's important to note that this has all been done pre-ChatGPT and pre-AI.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be a wordsmith today. Like, you can bounce ideas off of a AI tool like ChatGPT, and it's easy to generate new ideas purely because of the platform's capabilities. But I have so much respect for people who've done it pre-AI. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Pre-AI.
I'm just saying,
so fun how the world is changing so fast.
It's just the world's changing so quickly, and the people the people essentially who I admire the most is literally the people who've been creating brands and using words in order to connect with people. Like Coca-Cola, they did an ad that completely transformed them. It was buy the world of Coke. I want to buy the world, or something like that, the world of Coke. And it's like that completely, the guy who wrote that, it was such a, simple thing, actually, if you think about it, but it completely changed the game. Nike, just do it. The guy who came up with that. And it's like this, there's an emotional connection. You have to try and construct a sentence and make it as clear as possible, as short as possible, as clear as possible. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they have to be clever and they have to be over articulate, or they have to use a bunch of words together in order to explain something. But the people with the best brands and the best skills behind those brands are the people who can take the least amount of words but give the most accurate interpretation and experience of the brand. And I think that is something I just admire so much. Like it makes me a little bit giddy inside. Like it's like literally a skill that I admire.
Because the thing I find also, like with AI and branding and asking the machines for results, while I'm not so sure AI is very good yet, but it will become good at it, at distilling. Okay, it's very good at informing, at collating. Okay, but take a source reduction. A source reduction is about boiling, letting it reduce, adding some ingredients, letting it reduce. And a reduction and the distillation of a sauce is where the magic is. Just putting the ingredients together is the beginning. It's just the start. It's distilling and distilling. You can apply certain principles, yes. And that distillation is part magic, part spirit, part something else. Inspiration. What is inspiration? Inspiration is just magic. And where I really excel, I believe, is in putting two disparate things together. Because, and I know machines can't do that.
Yeah.
They can, but they'll just make a Brazilian look Mexican, versus, and anybody can put that together, a machine can put that together, but in finding, well, hang on a second,
in order to get it to resonate with someone on the other side.
I'm not so sure Sorbet would have been a name on its name generation list, because it is this odd merging of two worlds,
100%.
and therein, that inspiration obviously wasn't mine. It's magic.
Listen, I get frustrated with AI because I was telling you about a new product that we're building and creating, and I was about to write the sales page for it. And I was lazy. So I was just went to ChatGPT and I was like, let me just use ChatGPT to write the sales page. And I read it and I refined it and refined it. I was like, fuck, I can't do this. Like, it's just not what I want. To some people, obviously, it'll be more than good enough. But I said, there's like, I'm going to have to write this myself. So there's still a level of, I think, nuances that can't be filtered into the actual platform or the AI yet. And that's where people like you and myself obviously come in. But talking about Sorbet, what a success story, because I don't know if you know this, but in their last final years before they sold, which was literally in 2019, right before COVID.
Yeah.
Literally. Best timing in the world.
Yeah.
To sell a business was they did $1 billion a year.
Wow.
I think they had over 200 franchises.
Wow.
Franchisees, and it was a really amazing. It's obviously still a really amazing business. And Ian, what a legend.
Yeah.
He is.
Sure. That man.
Like, he's such a nice guy. He actually mentored us for a few months and helped us with some stuff as well. And he's just such a humble, amazing, open-minded individual. Like, it's not often you see someone with that level of success really still feel like he's just an everyday person. And that's one thing I just admire about him. But you said something this morning, which is something, it's not that I don't know it, but it's something that when someone says it back to you, sometimes you get this epiphany moment. It's like, we tend to forget it. And that is that, I think you said your brand name is not your brand. And I sat there and I'm still thinking about it. I was like, I think so many business owners, especially small business owners, make the mistake of assuming just a name is going to actually help you create the brand. And that's not really the case. I would love you to maybe just elaborate a little bit on that.
Your brand name is the access point people have to your company or to your offering. And make that access point easy. Yes, make it easy to pronounce, friendly on the eye. Make sure that if it's a a food brand. It's of a food color. You know, there's certain human truths that you kind of need to follow. But once I've heard the name Coke, I've forgotten it. What I've remembered is the flavor. What I've remembered is that I found it where I wanted to find it. I found it cold enough. I found it fresh enough. I found it bubbly enough. I found it easy to hold. Everything around the name I've forgotten by now. Now it was all around the entire experience. Was that what I wanted? And that is the brand. So Tasha's restaurant, the name Tasha's is forgotten. What is remembered is the exceptional food and service. In fact, if you gave me discounting that is named after its founder, Natasha, let's say somebody else wanted to start a company of the same ilk, perhaps I wouldn't have called it a woman's name. You know, I would have called it something else. So the brand is it's your starting point. Don't get too hung up on it. Get the brand going. Get it out there. That's just your name. And some people have really Uma Thurman. That's an ugly name. Sorry, Uma. You know, I don't believe it's the most. It doesn't bring out more than who she actually is. And I know two Umas that are beautiful, and I just think the name doesn't sound as beautiful as she look.
Oh, sure.
You know, we all know beautiful Natashas. You know,
That's
and I don't know where this is going. The point is the person and the brand and the get up and the service is remembered far longer than greater than the name.
it's not so much what you tell people more than it is how you make them feel, I suppose. It's you know, I think Seth Godin is also a big advocate of this. It's just is that brand is really just how people experience you and how they remember you. Nobody really remembers the logo as much as they remember the taste of the burger. It's like McDonald's. Like, yes, now you think M, Golden Arch, but your brain associates with the food more than it does with the logo. Same with Apple. Like, Apple is so good with this. I mean, they've done it spot on from the get-go. And I think Steve Jobs and his obsession and his OCD-ness around, you know, packaging and getting everything right from the get-go is what led to their success, maybe in theory. And I mean, the name Apple sounds stupid. It sounds ridiculous. But it's such a, when you say Apple, immediately you feel, yeah, I've got myself an Apple Watch, and now I'm like, you know, I've got myself a Mac. You know, I finally stepped up a little bit. It's almost like there's just people who feel that way when they associate themselves with that brand. Again, there's other people who might be associating that way with a different brand. Cars, you know, is exactly the same thing. Ferrari, if you think about it, like you don't see them advertising. You don't see that there's always this, like, oh, Ferrari doesn't advertise on TV. So, you know, it's like your brand should be premium and you're going to be a successful Ferrari. No, not really, because Ferrari, it took them decades to really create that exclusive feeling.
Like for me, Apple is product design and user experience. That's 100% what it is. And the brand name Apple is about, for me, what it means is it occupies a new space in the technology realm.
It's so unique.
Back in the day, things were named after
IBM
founders or what it actually did.
I think it's IBM International Business Machines. Yeah, like, what a name.
International Business Machines, Texas Instruments, back in my day, I'm that old. Texas Instruments, Hewlett Packard founders.
Yes.
You know, Microsoft, you know, software, microcomputers. Yeah.
They kind of attempted it. Yeah.
Boring name. How do you break through the noise and the clutter? That's when you come up with Apple. That's when you come up with Uber.
Love it.
Brilliant names.
Yeah, I know, and it's done so well. But I think it's getting the name and then really building the brand around it. And I think maybe we can unpack what building a brand really means. Because I think there's a lot of small business owners going to get a ton of value out of it. And like, you know, we've worked with hundreds of them over the last few years, and I see a lot of them get overly romantic about certain things when they shouldn't. And then I see some of them don't care at all when they should. And it's almost like finding that balance between the two. When is it really necessary to absolutely care, and when is it okay to let it go a little bit. And I think, at least from my point of view, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is like in the beginning phases, nobody really knows who you are. So just go run and see what happens, and get reactions, and get data, and see how people are responding. And I see so many people get hung up on that initial logo, that initial color. Should we use this color or that color? And it's literally the same fade, almost like the degree difference, versus someone then who's 10 years down the line who goes, it's just another customer who's upset. It's like, no. That's not what it's about. Fix it quickly, make sure you do it right, so that person can hopefully come back next time. So even though you might have made a mistake, the experience that you've given them will make them come back and go, you know what, they made a mistake last time, but I'm going to try again because I just like how they fixed it. And that leads again to the experience of the brand and everything. So at what point, you've worked with many business owners. So I think my question is this, like, what are the common mistakes that they potentially make when it comes to building their brands, especially early on?
There's a fine line between testing what you're going to be doing, and I do believe in testing. I do believe in asking your target market, do they like the taste of your milkshake? Is this a flavor you may be interested in? So there's a certain level of testing that is needed. And then there's a certain level of doing and self-belief. Okay. And there's a fine line. You can't only have self-belief and not test.
Yes.
Because I don't know my target market as well as my target market knows themselves. But there's also only so much you can ask people, because a lot of people don't know what they like, why they like it.
Also what they want. Like Steve Jobs was a big believer, and people don't know what they want until you actually tell them and show it to them.
Be humble enough to ask enough people and take feedback, because feedback is important. Ask just enough experts. Don't pay too much for them. Just ask just enough experts. Read up a little bit. It's a combination of things. Don't only, so many logos I've presented, and the CEO says, I asked my girlfriend yesterday and I go, wow, it's a men's clothing brand, but okay, let's hear what she had to say about it. So be careful of who you tell, who you ask the right people, be intelligent about your testing.
It's like ChatGPT. A shitty prompt is going to get you shitty results.
100%. And don't go for this confirmation bias nonsense. Ask people, all your fans. Ask people you don't like. Ask people who you know are a little bit prickly. Often they'll come up with something very interesting. What people can give you often is not so much yes or no or feedback, like I don't like the blue, is they actually come up with new ideas. People sit and think about things all day, and and free ideas are always better than paid for ideas. So research, that's the one thing. But there's a fine line between researching and analyzing and just getting the job done. You're launching a fragrance business. Okay, you're not changing the world.
True.
Launch the business. Pick a color. You can always change the color down the road. You can evolve the name. The trademark suddenly is not available and you're in court. You change the brand name. We're not changing the world, people.
Yeah.
We're trying to make some money off some products and adding value to people's lives. And there's I honestly believe, most of the businesses I've started have not worked out the way I've wanted them to work out. I've started doing X and I've landed up doing Y, making money in a different way. So don't be scared to start. I know so many entrepreneurs there with failed ideas that are already in their heads and they haven't even started. That's no use to the planet.
Or they just get overly romantic about that, and like you say, that initial logo concept, and it's just like they never get it right, and it's almost their own way of making an excuse not to start.
100%.
Because it's not right yet.
Yeah. It'll never be right.
Yeah.
Get it 80% right, launch it, and fix it 20% on the trot.
V8 is a classic example. Our initial colors were red and black, and it was V8 written very sporty, almost like automotive feel to it, because I always believe that V8 is the engine of a business, like the engine of V8 is the engine of a business. That doesn't make any sense. I always believe that marketing is the engine of a business, so therefore I thought of V8, which is an engine, and that's really just how my mind worked at the time. I was like, listen, I'm just going to call it V8 because I couldn't think of anything else. And it just had a ring to it, and it's not super unique. It's like such a boring name if you think about it. Like there's many companies called V8, but yet when people talk about V8 Media, well, some have some good things to say, and some might not have good things to say. You know, it is what it is. But I believe that the majority of people will say, listen, these are the people who are the engine to the business, who can generate that demand, who can generate those sales. But that's only something that happened 4 years later. You know what I'm saying? And funny enough, when we launched, people thought that we were doing audio installations for cars. So people would go, hey, can you do speaker? How much for, this kind of speaker? And I don't know anything about sound in cars. I don't. I've never tweaked my car, never modified my cars. So people would talk about, I don't know, woofers and bass and, I was like, what's going on here? Like, I'm trying to sell you a marketing service and you're trying to sell me a car or something. And then we changed the look and feel from the automotive kind of like perceived, I'd say, artwork to more something a bit more corporate-y, just to tech friendly, I suppose. And that's how version 8 came to be. So we actually moved away from V8 to version 8, but it's still V8, but version 8. So it's a mess. It's like a little bit of a fuck up, in my opinion.
Well, it's the 8th version of your name.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, you're remembered for the service you're giving, the intellect you're passing on to customers, and the value you're adding far beyond the name.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've realized is like all the other businesses we've started, it was like, pick a name, just pick one, something that rings a little bit true, as long as it's clear and easy to pronounce, and something that's short. And I like short and sweet names. So like you say, Sorbet, short and sweet. Tashes. It's not overly complicated. It's not long. What is that? Mango, like airlines. They did something similar to Apple.
I'm gonna counter that and say there's another name I came up with for McCain. You know McCain, Think Again, Think McCain. There was a rice product. It was a mixed rice with stir fried. There were different flavors. There was stir fried mixed with rice. There was Indian mixed with rice, pilaf, etc., etc., etc. They wanted a brand name for it. So it was like Rice Magic, and they were thinking like McCain, simple. I was like, well, I don't know if you know, there's a brand in America called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. It's a margarine called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. And along the same veins, I thought about, okay, so in the name generation, I was like, okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And then I was like, what would my mother say if she ate this rice? She would say, now this is rice.
Oh, wow.
And we presented the name and they went with it. Now This Is Rice was a brand that they ran for about 5 years as part of the sub brand, in the frozen category of prepared foods. And so while mango is nice, also a sentence is also cool. Like, now this is rice. You'll never forget. It says
that's more a tagline though. Or was that the actual product?
The actual brand name.
Oh, really?
The brand name was Now This Is Rice.
But it's so clear though.
It's so clear. And because it's so interesting, it hardwires fast into your brain. You want something to hardwire. I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. You'll always remember. Okay? It's it's clunky. It goes against all the things that we're saying now about short names. But, Hermenegildo Zegna, the men's clothing brand, always blows my mind. Hermenegildo Zegna.
I don't even know who that is, and I will not remember it. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I know. I want to help them too.
Get Costa. So, dude, like I said, like we always have the most fascinating chats, especially around marketing, because we're both passionate about it. And I think branding is such a big thing. Picking your name, we discussed, and you want to say something? Go for it.
Yeah, picking your name is one thing, but also picking your descriptor is important because there's also a lot of names that are taken. Like come up with an original name. It's not really, you'll think, oh, but I've heard of a I don't know, there's different categories where you register names. So there's unique clothing, unique this, unique that. There's so many uniques out there. So it doesn't mean you can't call your brand unique. Remember the descriptor, because the descriptor can also become part of your name and what you're known for. And we spoke about Stir.
Stir, yes.
Stir is a brand that you were mentioning. I don't know if you just want to talk about it.
I can give you some context for those listening. It's basically we develop a lot of our in-house projects, and Stir is basically just a project we've launched about 2 months ago, and it looking like it's doing all right. We're breaking even this month, which is great. So we believe that there's some potential, but it's basically just a company that does all kinds of powders, consumable powders. Like we do hot chocolates, we do frizzos, we do milkshakes powders, we do ice cream powders, we do hot chocolate, sugar-free cappuccino. And our differentiator is that we just have a ton of flavors that most people don't have. And I was talking to you about it this morning, and you made a very valuable comment. So please go ahead and share that.
I can't help myself when I think of brands. And the thing with Stir that came up with that happened with Stir is I love the name. It begins with an ST. It's fast. It rolls off the tongue. Stir.
It's got two R's.
Two R's. So it's very trendy. Like valor, stir.
Yeah.
The thing with Stir is it also brings up connotations of something different and stirring up emotions, stirring up trouble, like when things stir, they're mixing, they're going places, they're doing things, okay, which I really love. There's energy and there's also movement in the name. I love that. But what do you guys do? I go, hang on, if I just see the name written down, Stir, I go, okay, maybe it's a drink, maybe it's food, maybe it's something. All it needs for me is a descriptor that grounds the name and anchors it so that there's no doubt in people's minds. Remember, people, they say they have 8 seconds to make up their mind about you and the brand name.
Probably less now.
I think it's 1.5 seconds. If I have to think too hard about what Stir is, I'm not going to think about Stir at all. So
almost have to happen instantly.
And for me, Stir is just missing a slight a descriptor that needs to become part of its get up and its brand name. So, and not Stir. And descriptors can be very creative. It doesn't have to be Stir Foods, okay, or Stir powders, which that's too product intrinsic. I'm interested, especially with food, I'm putting something into my stomach. Yes, it's convenient. Everybody's telling me convenient. Yes, there's all the flavors. I want all the flavors. These are all hygiene factors, but what I'm really after is the taste. Does it taste good? So how are we going to get that across? So it stirs easily, but does it taste good?
And that's the main benefit, right? People are less worried about the convenience but they're more focused on, is this really going to taste good? Is this really going to give me a good experience? Is this really something that I'm going to want to drink when I'm watching my favorite movie or favorite series at night?
And hopefully in your favor, is this something I'm willing to pay more for?
Yeah.
So enter the French word gourmet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. If it's French, just crotch people more. Okay, it is what it is. So gourmet also, it's not only drinks. There's gourmet drinks, there's gourmet foods, there's gourmet, I don't know. And it's gourmet I like. It's not the only one. I would put gourmet into ChatGPT and say, give me some other options.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's a better word, but you get where I'm going.
No, 100%.
I just think it needs a descriptor. So don't get too hold on or hung on your name,
Yeah. With Glute, actually, we have a tagline, hips, bums, tums.
Love that.
So I mean, glute doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's a muscle really, but it's spelled GLOOT.
Nice.
And then we have a tagline that says hips, bums, tums. So the idea is to focus on all the key parts of a female that they have insecurities on, insecurities around, and that is the hips, the bums, and the tums. And in essence, what we've done with that is going, how do we create a name and a descriptor and a look and feel that actually appeals to the emotional parts of, the target market, the people that you're actually trying to reach. And I think that's one of the reasons is obviously it's doing so well. And same with Stirs, like it's still a new business. So we're figuring these things out as people are asking questions, like people go in as like, what are the nutrients? How do I know the flavor is going to taste good? And all these queries come in. And after months to 3 months or so, you've got so many data points that you can kind of like leverage in order to improve the brand experience, in order to improve the name and the descriptor and everything else that helps.
Like glute. So I'm just saying, thank goodness you didn't call it glute nutrition. Oh my gosh, everyone's calling it nutrition.
Yeah.
I mean, and I keep seeing nutrition brands out there. I'm not saying glute needs to go this route, but the next nutrition brand must be called something inside. Because we all know, I'm putting it inside. Of course, it's nutrition. And you don't have to say glute chemistry, glute whatever, glute inside. Or I'm not saying glute must go down that route. I'm just saying, and again, creatively disrupting, when things are odd, people remember it.
Hundreds. I love
glute with 2 O's. Love that.
I love where you're going with this, and I think there's something to unpack there for the audience as well. Is that if we have to give them a framework on how to come up with a name and a descriptor, I mean, can we do an exercise like that? Like, I mean,
okay,
I know it's going to be hard, maybe, but it's like we were working on another product, right? Which I showed you the copy of, and you immediately went, yeah, but can I use it with this, and can I use it with that, and what if this, and what if that? And I was like, oh, information, amazing! I can use this to improve my copy, and I can improve the page, sales page, and whatnot. And I'm always thinking there,
what
are the hacks? Like, oh, we both feel about hacks the exact same way. It's like there's no real shortcut, but at the same time, it all takes time and skills and resources. But let's say hypothetically there were hacks, a little bit of a framework of sorts. Like, if you had to come up with a name and a tagline, what would be the key elements that you would look for? Like, having helped so many people, what are the key elements that's running through your head?
Firstly, the industry is important. Okay, what industry you're in. Because there's certain things that are appropriate or acceptable, and yes, I want to think out the box, etc. But rude names, inappropriate names, or just where the disconnect is just too big. I don't want to hire an engineering firm called The Juice.
The Jews or the juice?
The Juice, Juice. Like I don't.
We might just edit that out.
An engineering firm called The Juice. No, an engineering firm for me has to be De Beer, Moloko and Associates. Okay, there needs to be brains behind it. I'm buying the skill. Don't give me the so there's certain things that your industry, where can you push, and then where can you push your industry to? Okay, so within your industry, like the Sorbet thing. So remember your industry, the first thing, and then how far can you push it?
So what you're saying is just know the people that you're going to be targeting, right?
And your competitive framework. But then where can you push it to? And don't fall into general traps. And there are also general guidelines that like there's a company, again, it's easy to knock people, but this one deserves a bit of knocking.
I love that.
No, it just really frustrated me. It was a health and fitness place, okay, for executives called DBC. Okay. Firstly, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Actually, it's document-based care. So in other words, they took all your facts and figures. This is before Discovery days, and created documents of your state of health, and then based their care of your health on that. Now, that for me says nothing about fitness, nothing about health. Document-based care makes me sound like a farm animal with a disease. It's giving, and then shortening it to DBC. It's just DBC. I mean, it's just like 3 hard consonants. Maybe the C lifts it a little.
It's the biggest mistake that you can make.
De Beer. No, I'm just saying De Beer. They're 2 very strong consonants. DBC. I'm not so sure. Anyway, so don't fall into those traps. My worst is also people's names and kind of mixed together, etc. The hacks are very simply don't fall into those traps. Remember your industry. Don't be scared to think in different spelling ways. Okay, just because it needs to look different. Glute with 2 O's. Whenever there's 2 letters next to each other, it has a visual interest, and it helps hardwire it sooner.
And those 2 O's are actually hearts in the logo, like really round hearts. Yeah,
beautiful. So glute.
Well, the founder gets all the credit for it. His name's Greg.
Okay,
which he's going to come on the podcast, but he's a getter.
Well done, Greg. So think of how it looks as well. Always write a name down, because how it sounds and how it looks. Remember, a brand is obviously seen. Now we actually see it online and we click on things. So if something looks weird and the spelling is odd, it might attract attention or it might detract. So just be careful about how you spell it as well.
I think in most cases people are going to look twice, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
It's just getting in to go, wait, what's this?
Yeah.
We've got understand your target market, which is super crucial, because if you don't know who you're selling to, then how the hell are you going to appeal to them? You mentioned something about competitors, and I think we can just linger on that for like a second, which is some people can go down a rabbit hole and look at every single competitor and scrutinize them down to the T, and some people cannot do any competitor research at all. And I think it's just, again, I want to say find the balance, which I'm laughing because I saw a meme the other day. It says you can walk into any meeting at any time of the day with zero preparation and just say, guys, I think it's all about finding the balance. And everybody was just not along. Makes so much sense.
That is the go-to word in corporate.
It's just the balance, guys.
Finding the balance.
But I think in this case, it's very applicable because you can get lost, which can lead to analysis paralysis, and then, actually not getting the brand started or overthinking everything, which creates resistance. Or you cannot care at all and then end up building something that already exists that's exactly the same as everybody else.
That's why you do competitor analysis.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like them. You don't want to sound like them. Any of that. You want to stand out.
And you know what's funny? We've got the data to prove this, and I think I did an Instagram reel on it where I explained that if you are the first person in the market that offers the service, your cost per acquisition, your CPA, the cost of that is almost guaranteed to be affordable because there's nobody else that's selling that product. If you are in a competitive market, but you have a unique spin, then the cost of acquisition is going to go up a little bit, but there's still going to be a lot of room for profitability. But when you're in a competitive environment and you sound like everybody else, good luck making your marketing work for you, and good luck making it profitable.
100%.
There's actually a little graph that kind of like shows, like, if you're in this part of the industry, it's going to be low. If you're in that part of the industry, it's going to be high. And I think that is that's something that always resonated with me, because when we build something, we try to find that unique factor, whether it is the actual price of the product. Amazon has done that exceptionally well, whether it is the look and feel, whether it is the emotional appeal, whether it is a completely revolutionized product. Like, all of those can be factors essentially that gets people to go, they look twice. Hold on, what's this? Hold on, what's this? Let me just give this another look. I think that's all you're really looking for from a marketing perspective, at least from my point of view. I don't know.
The other thing about brand names, we were just talking about. I mean, I know this is a lot for entrepreneurs with new brands, but brands also always need to evolve. And we were talking about finding the balance. Sometimes, I mean, so you're at home now, you have a brand that you've been running, it's your own for a while, you're a little tired of it. If you're a little tired of it, your customer's definitely tired of it. Time to innovate, time to change things up.
Can I challenge you on that for a second? Is that a fair statement to make, considering that you see the brand on a daily basis and your customers don't?
You love your business way more than your customer does. So you're getting tired of something you absolutely love. That's where I'm coming from.
That makes sense.
That's where I'm coming from. You care the most about the brand. And if you're tired of it, then somebody who doesn't, it's not part of their lives all the time, they likely are also stale, looking for the refresh. So we need to find the balance in what I'm saying and what you're saying.
Finding the balance makes sense.
But the key thing here with brand name, older brand names, is you don't need to change much. And I'll give you some examples off the top of my head, like the Nut Lady. Is a store.
I've seen her.
Yeah, I don't know her. I've never worked with them before, but
It's a bit nutty.
An evolution that could just be Nut Lady.
Laughing at my own jokes, yeah.
Yeah. That was funny. But the Nut Lady can just become Nut Lady. Drop the.
Yeah.
When we did a
guy from Facebook, the social network. Have you ever watched the social network?
Yeah, the social network. Facebook.
The Facebook.
No, Facebook.
Struck the.
And that was at the origination of it. But like. We did the rebrand for the law firm Spoor and Fisher. Okay, we just took out the and we made it a dot, so it's Spoor Fisher. Spoor Fisher, like Edwin Nathan Sonnenberg's, not Edwin and Nathan and Sonnenberg's, and then it became ENS. So the evolution is just drop a few things, change your descriptor,
lighten it up. It's almost like remove the baggage, remove the unnecessary fluff.
Or take out the ands, take out the evolve from foods to gourmet.
Yeah.
So you don't need to change your brand.
It used to be Pepsi Cola.
Yes.
And they dropped Cola.
Yeah.
So it just became Pepsi.
Maybe Dr. Pepper just becomes Doctor one day. No.
or just pepper.
Pepper. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Love it. I think that's very cool, man. I think we've been chatting for about, if I'm not mistaken, quite a while. So let's round off with maybe just some final thoughts. I think that'll be putting you on the spot.
You know, when people
Did you not
final,
did not
means they can't think of a last question.
did you? I've got a last question for you.
Oh,
Can you give us some final thoughts? So if you didn't prepare any final thoughts, then obviously this is a problem. No, I'm joking. So here's what I want to make sure that people take away. Your brand name is not your brand. That is something I think we can conclude. And spending time, if you haven't figured out a name yet, don't overly romanticize it. Just go onto ChatGPT and find something, and make sure, like we've discussed as well, like you can actually register it as a company, that there's nobody else, and that you can actually trademark it. Because those are two different things. You can register a company, but you can't get a trademark always.
Yeah.
So that's something you have to make sure. Look for the trademark first before you register the company. Because essentially, if you're going to build a brand, you want to make a trademark.
Even if the .com.co.za is available, that means nothing in trademark law.
Nothing.
Well, not nothing. It means very little.
Exactly. So that's the first mistake I've always made. And there's still companies that we still haven't trademarked, which we need to sort out. The other thing was, we said from a brand point of view, it's really about how you're making people feel, and not so much, yes, the product and the service is important, but what's more important is how that product or service are making people feel. That's what creates the brand. Is there anything you want to latch onto from your point of view whilst we move into the final thought phase of this podcast?
Yeah, use all the help that's out there. I think that's another thing that's come up. Be careful who you ask as well. Be careful who you share your dreams with, because they're your dreams and only you will realize them, actually. And act more than think.
I like that.
Because I know the universe supports action, not thought. So, get in the ring and start fighting. Rather lose 10 bouts than be the guy who never jumps in the ring. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I think I would want to add to that is that thought is energy, which starts to formulate some form of reality, but it can only take you so far. And action is the closest that you can get to actually creating that reality for yourself, because we live in a physical reality. I'm not going to make this a bit philosophical. I always find an opportunity to make something philosophical.
Do it. We have to.
So can I just do it? Chris?
I'm that guy too.
Thank you. So action, if you think about it, is the most amount of energy that you can actually produce in order to start attracting that reality that you want. Thought is energy, like anything else, because everything is energy. And that's, a lot of people say, well, think it and it will happen. And to some extent, that's true. But if you're going to say, I think that I have this business, it's not just going to fall into your lap. You have to start taking the necessary energy and have faith that things will work out. And I always use the analogy of, there's like a reel that I saw where the guy was just stepping. He was not even looking where he's stepping. And it's like a random car would stop and he would step on the car. And then there would be like a skateboard, and then there would be something else. And there's just like every time he steps, he doesn't look. And every time you think he's going to, crack his skull, trip and crack his skull. And then every time there's something for him to step on. And looking at that reel that said at the bottom is like the universe supporting you and your goals. And it's just having that faith that, the next step will appear. Jump and the net will appear is really where the bumper sticker quote comes from.
100%.
Is like having faith that things will work out, and staying in that, I would say, that energetic frequency of belief that things will work out, as opposed to getting neurotic and anxious and stressful that things are not going your way, because reality will then start to show up like that as well down the line. And I think that's the biggest mental shift I've made. And we've gone from, I shared the numbers with you, at breakfast, we've 10x, almost 15x in the law with all the projects that we've got going on, just because the biggest contributor was how we started thinking as an executive team. And I think I wish more people would take that kind of thought, no pun intended, a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
Love it.
Turning thoughts into actions, because actions rule in this physical realm, like you said.
100%, man. Listen, thank you so much for joining.
Great being here.
I had such a good time. There's a lot more to discuss, so there's going to be hopefully more of these if you find the time and obviously the patience as well. So, thanks for joining, and Yeah, much love to you and everybody else.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. I'll be back. I want to be back.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll drop everything else in the comments and descriptions and whatnot. So don't have to bore people with where to find you.
Cool.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.